Moving on, we have the Royals to talk about. So
Yes, we do.
I'm going to share my screen, and Sam's going to talk, and I'm going to do my best to follow around what he is saying. So, Sam, go ahead and take over.
Yeah, I went ahead and I broke this down in a way that kind of makes sense to me. So the way I broke this down is I have my own spreadsheet that I'm looking at, and I separated the players into three categories: players who are likely to be on the team next season, players who are 50-50 coming off injury or are bench options, and then players who are unlikely, won't, or will be in the minor leagues. So I took the entire 40-man roster and did this. To start out, very simple. The following players are under contract for next season: Bobby Witt Jr., Seth Lugo, Michael Waka, Carlos Estevez, Cole Reagans, Salvador Perez. All those guys are locked up for next season. So obviously, they're all going to be on the team. I don't think there's any question about any of those guys' status with the team at this point in time. Next up is a couple guys who are up for arbitration. And the Royals actually have quite a number of guys who are up for arbitration this year. And the first two I want to talk about are Vinny Pasquantino and Michael Garcia. I think most Royals Royals fans would agree that those are two guys that we would like to see have around for a little while. Both of them are eligible for arbitration. I believe Michael Garcia is the Super 2 arbitration, if I'm not mistaken. But he is going to be one or both of these guys is going to get an extension this offseason. And I would say that's probably going to be Vinny Pasquantino, just because he has been such a face of the team and has been such a kind of, he's on first things first with Nick Wright covering the World Series. So he's valuable in a lot of ways. So I would imagine we'll see Vinny get a big time extension this offseason. Maybe not huge, but several years at the very least. And Michael Garcia, on the other hand, we'll see. He's only had, one breakout season. I think he's going to maybe get a couple year deal to knock out some of those arbitration years. If you're scoring at home, Michael Garcia got 7 votes in the MVP voting this offseason. So I think he finished 14th. Was
Sam,
not
can
ex-
you talk? So, just with Garcia, was he a top prospect? I feel like he was a dude and then just kind of showed up like as a Twins fan. Was he a high rated prospect, or what
he
did you see
was
this coming?
he was someone who I honestly didn't hear a ton about prior to coming up to the Royals. I don't know what his prospect ranking was. I'm not 100% sure. He was number 3 in the Royals organization in 2023. So he
So
was
not a happy
around.
accident.
He was around for a while. I'm not 100% sure on, you know, I wasn't paying as close of attention back then as I am now, to be
Mhm.
completely honest.
Sure.
But for me, the biggest thing that we would always hear about, especially when he was young coming up, was about how he was cousins with Alcides Escobar. So there's that for a fun trivia question for you. But again, I expect him to get a couple year deal with him being eligible for the Super 2 arbitration.
Who would you between Pasquantino and Garcia? Who would you hand that contract out to?
I think Vinny's probably going to get the bigger contract, and especially
Really?
with their projections on Spotrac says that Vinny's worth about $5.2 million and Michael's worth about 4.8. So I would expect to see Vinny get the bigger deal this offseason, but that's just That's just my the way I see the situation. So
He is closer to free agency. He's a more known commodity. He's done it
hmm
back to back. Where Garcia,
hmm
you just don't want to hope he's a Royce Lewis
yeah,
incoming.
exactly. So those two guys, let's get those guys locked up for a little while.
Alternatively, just really quick, if you're Garcia, man, I just got MVP votes. I'm not signing an extension. I'm betting on myself. We're going to make some money here in a couple of years. Like I could see
hmm
that being the narrative on his end of things. It might
Yeah,
be a situation where the Royals missed an opportunity to buy lower here with him.
and a lot of people had him as a breakout candidate last season, which he was not in 2024. He broke out in 2025. So he was maybe kind of a year behind what people thought he would be. I think Foolish Bailey had Michael as one of his breakout candidates for 2024. So, but anyway, notice me, Senpai. Uh, then we go into a couple guys who are up for arbitration, who I would also like to see come back. That is John Schreiber and Kyle Isbell. Two solid players for the Royals. Kyle Isbell was a finalist for Gold Glove this offseason, and Schreiber, again, has been good. There's been some trade talk about Schreiber, which doesn't surprise me. But those two guys are worth $4 million and $3 million estimated, according to Spot Track. So who knows? Lucas Urseg also has been a good player for the Royals for since they got him last season in the trade deadline. I saw some conflicting reporting about whether or not he's eligible for arbitration. Some sources say that he is, some sources say that he is not. But ESPN reported that Lucas Urseg is not yet eligible for salary arbitration. So I went ahead and went with that. That could be incorrect in my calculations, but still, I think Urseg, again, a guy who's likely to be on the team. And then we go down the list of some decent dudes for the Royals. Daniel Lynch, Angel Zerpa, Jonathan Bolin, Carter Jensen, Noah Cameron, Steven Cruz, Luinder Avila, Jack Caglione. All those guys are pre-ARB or in their first year of ARB, and I would expect all those guys to be on the team or contribute in some fashion to the team this year. So the total amount of money on those guys who I predict to be on the team next year is $106 million. So that is the amount of payroll that I think 100% guaranteed will be on the team next season for the Royals. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about any of those players that I just mentioned or not.
I mean, talk about Bubic a little bit, just because
I'll
he's
get I'll
you're
get to
getting.
I'll get to
Okay.
Bubic. Yeah, I'll get to Bubic, and he'll actually. We can go through this next section pretty quickly. These are players who are either 50-50 injury or bench players next season. So basically, players who I think could or could not be on the team, players who are coming off injury, or players who are bench pieces. Taylor Clark, decent relief pitcher for the Royals. James MacArthur was injured all of last season. Stephen Kolek picked up at the trade deadline. Alec Marsh, injury. Tyler Tolbert, Ryan Berger, John Rave, Nick Lofton. All of those guys are either pre-arbitration or in their first year of arbitration. None of those names really excite me. So if any of those guys are on the team next year, I will shrug, and that's not gonna make me angry or not. So anyway, then we'll go into, unless anyone has any thoughts on any of those guys I just mentioned. I can't imagine we have a lot of Nick Lofton opinions out in the open.
Not unless their family is listening to this.
Okay. Well, and then we'll get into unlikely /won't/minors. players who are going to be non-tendered, or players who have just recently been added to the 40-man roster, or players who I think are going to be traded. And one of those players is Chris Bubich. I have been saying for a while that I don't think he's going to be on the team this season. I think he's going to be traded. And he had a really good 4 months for the Royals in 2025. Had a rotator cuff strain, which didn't require surgery, but got shut down for the entire season. There's been a lot of talk about trades. There's been a lot of talk about who the Royals could potentially trade. This is Chris Bubich's final year of arbitration coming up. So he's going to be a free agent sooner rather than later. Given what he showed last season, and given the fact that he is not coming off of a surgery, I would expect him to be dealt to. There's been a lot of rumors about what particular team the Royals could trade with. I'll get into that in a little bit here in a second. But Chris Bubich, I think, is likely to be traded.
Now, what happened in 23 and 24? Why doesn't he have as many innings or games there? Was he injured?
He was coming out of the bullpen for a little while. So 24, he came back from injury, and they used him out of the bullpen. He was kind of being stretched back out to become a starter for a little while. He's been up and down in his Royals career. He's very similar, and this goes into the next guy I'm going to talk about. He's very similar to Brady Singer in his Royals career, where he's shown at times that he is a really good player, and he's also shown at times that he's very inconsistent. So I would say that with the potential he flashed last year, someone's definitely going to be interested. No team can ever have enough pitchers. So that's Chris Bubich for you. He's estimated to make $4.5 million in arbitration this off season. So again, that's a number that I think a lot of teams would be willing to take on for a season. So there's that. Speaking of speaking of Brady Singer, we're going to talk about my next guy on the list, who I don't think is going to be on the team next season, and that is Jonathan India, who had a very, very disappointing season with the Royals in 2025. He was brought in to be a spark to the offense, kind of add an additional stick into the bat, and he was not that, to put it succinctly. He was pretty bad this season for the Royals.
Yeah, what happened? I don't know. He was. Is it Kansas? Is Kansas City's ballpark rated as a pitcher-friendly ballpark?
It is, yeah. But the thing is, Jonathan India won Rookie of the Year in 2021, and every year after that, slowly his numbers went down.
It's been all downhill from there.
Exactly. And so not dramatically, oh my God, he's crashing apart, but a lot of people were maybe change of scenery, breakout candidate, someone who could really find a second home, and that did not come to pass. So he's estimated, I saw a couple different estimates on what he's expected to make. $9 million. The Royals aren't paying that. So I'd give it maybe a 10% chance that he could be non-tendered and come back for cheap if he wants to be, kind of redeem himself in this for this team. But I think we've got Jonathan India. I'm penciling him in as a future Marlin, White Sox, Rocky, Twin, a 2025 crap team candidate is what Jonathan India is. So,
But does it matter to you that he is a max effort guy in OOTP? Does that grit mean anything to you?
you know, you try really hard and you don't produce results. There's not much to be said there. So,
In a similar vein, my recollection is Royals tried to play him at third in the outfield when traditionally he had been a second baseman his entire career.
yeah.
I don't know if that perhaps had anything to do with kind of his struggles at the plate. Those things can be tied to each other mentally, I
Yeah, for
suppose.
sure,
But
for sure.
for
They
sure.
tried to get Michael Massey and Jonathan India to play left field at the beginning of the season because they knew how bad their outfield was. Problem is that A, neither of those guys are outfielders, and B, Jonathan India and Michael Massey were just as bad as the other players that the Royals had in the outfield. So kind of trying to fix a bullet hole with a band-aid there. I don't know if any of these guys that I mentioned are going to be on the team next season, but they attempted to move him around to different positions. Anyway, I'll go through the rest of the guys who I have on unlikely / won't / minors. Most of these names aren't going to be a surprise. Bailey Falter picked up at the trade deadline. He was bad. MJ Melendez, we know that story. Michael Massey, we know that story too. Drew Waters, Dyrone Blanco, and I was very surprised that there is a player on the Royals 40-man roster who I have legitimately never heard of before, and that is Mr. Eric Sarantola. He's a relief pitcher. He's on the Royals 40-man roster. I have never heard of him before in my life. Yep,
Well, here he is.
there he is, Mr. Eric Sarantola. He's with the Omaha Storm Chasers. Right-handed pitcher. Those numbers in the minors don't look too good from what I'm seeing, and he's on the Royals 40-man roster. So there you go.
Hey, but those 2023 AA numbers.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
1.93.
Northwest Arkansas Naturals All-Star right there, man. Whew.
25. I wonder if he won't be moved to the bullpen. It looks like now we're using OOTP as a start, but looks like the fastball velocity is 96, 98 as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
He might be. You never know.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Eric Sarantola to just ram it down your throat next year, Sam.
Hey, you know what? I didn't say I didn't like the guy. I just said I never heard of him. So I am, and he's Canadian too, so that's fun.
Well, us Erics need to stick together, so I'm pulling for you.
There you go. There you go.
You
Eric,
decided to plant your flag here.
yeah,
right.
Eric. I want let's see it in 2026. So there you go. So the 50-50 / bench / minor, or sorry, the 50-50 / injury total came to $7.7 million. The unlikely total came to $23.8 million. So total payroll for the 40-man roster right now for the Royals is at $137.7 million, according to my calculations and estimates. What I think is a more likely number when we subtract the guys who I don't think are going to be on the team next year is that the Royals have a payroll around $113.9 million for next season. That's some wiggle room, I would say. I would say the Royals have kind of set the budget, according to some sources that I've read, to be around $130 to $150 million for next season. So there's some wiggle room in there. And I'll also mention free agents who have departed. Mike Yastrzemski, Luke Maley, Hunter Harvey, Adam Frazier. Those guys were all set to be free agents at the end of the season. One of those guys, some of those guys might be brought back. Who knows? And then Royals declined the the Royals released Kyle Wright, declined the option on Randall Grichuk, and declined the option on Michael Lorenzen. So we'll see what if any of those guys are Royals again in 2026. But there's been a lot of trade talk rumors about the Royals and about what the team is going to look like. And I think this is going to be a bit of a briefer off-season preview than we've had, because it's really clear to me, really straightforward, what the Royals need to do. And what the Royals need to do is they need to sign or trade for a second baseman, sign or trade for a left fielder, and get a plus platoon guy for the outfield as well. Because Jack Caglione is going to get a full, runway for him to be the right fielder for next season. Kyle Isbell, I hope, continues to be in center field. For what he is, I think he's a good enough player, and he was a Gold Glove finalist. Both of those guys are lefties. So the Royals are going to need to get a righty who can play center and who can play right, because Kyle Isbell sucks against lefties. And get someone in left field and at second base. So those are two not premium positions in baseball. You can get a left fielder and a second baseman pretty
million goes a long way.
Pretty reliably for those two positions. So I would expect one of the pitchers is going to be traded for someone, and the Royals to sign a mid to lower high tier player. So I think first I'll talk about trades first, because that's something that the Royals have been linked to quite often in the last couple days. The Red Sox and the Angels are two teams that came out as trade candidates for the Royals. And you look at some of the guys, those are two teams who have a pretty decent number of outfielders. If I were the Royals, I would want to target Joe Adell, which good ESP right there, Eric. Nice job. I would like to target Joe Adell, who had a big season last year, lots of home runs. He can stand in left field and stand at the plate and hit some home runs. He hit 37 home runs last season. Wouldn't mind seeing him. Taylor Ward for the Angels is another guy that the Royals have been linked to for the last couple years. He's a little bit older, so I wouldn't be quite as excited about the Royals getting Taylor Ward as I would the Joe Adell. So those are two candidates right there. Also, my tinfoil hat proposal that I've had for a long time of the Royals trading for Mike Trout. He's on the Angels, so there you go. He's an outfielder.
He is.
He would. The Royals would have to take on half his contract in order for that to happen. But here's the thing: sell a lot of jerseys. So, what's more valuable?
Can I suggest one name that I've been thinking that I think this is not a flashy name? This is like setting a floor fourth or fifth outfielder type.
Yeah,
but he's on the Twins. I think Trevor
Byron
Larnach.
Buxton.
No. That would be a flashy name. That would be a name you would really want. I think Trevor Larnach on here kind of makes sense. He's just literally as a bat. He is just a 101 OPS guy. He's probably going to get non-tendered by the Twins. If they do tender him a contract, he's going to get like $5 million. I think as a just setting the floor, he's a major league hitter with some upside at 28 years old. He's not a good defender. He's not. He is left-handed, so it doesn't necessarily work out necessarily in Kansas City. But the more he's replacing like a 70 OPS plus, and what was Hunter Renfroe's, like 38 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah. So he's better than he's just the league average hitter. I don't think he'll be on the Twins. And then the Royals and the Twins have traded before with Michael A. Taylor.
Mhm.
There's at least a fit there. It's
Yeah.
not the move, but it's
Mhm.
a
And
decent
the other thing is there's some flashy names out there that the Royals could go after. Honestly, last year the Royals brought in Mike Yastrzemski and Adam Frazier, two guys who are like the ultimate. They're on the poster for 100 OPS plus, right? If the Royals bring in a second baseman and an outfielder who can have a 100 OPS plus, I mean that would be great. The Royals would probably go up 10 spots in the runs scored rankings next season.
I've got one. Sticking
Yep.
with the Angels real quick. This guy would be a reunion. He would be making $16 million in 2026, and he did unfortunately have a down 2025. Would there be any interest, probably for a lesser piece than Bubic, for a Jorge Soler reunion in Kansas City?
I question his ability to play the outfield because
Especially that outfield.
the Royals
Yeah.
don't need a DH. So that would not excite me, a Jorge Soler reunion. Here's a couple other names I want to mention that have been thrown around. The Royals were also tied to the Red Sox. Trade candidate potential there. Obviously, the Royals aren't getting any of the Duran or Anthony. Wilyer Abreu would be a pretty decent guy to put in the left field. He's a two-time Gold Glover. Again, the Red Sox have a glut of outfielders. That would be a good name. And then the Royals have also been tied to Brendan Donovan as a potential trade candidate. He can play both the infield and the outfield. Who knows? I want
to look how many years he has left because I kind of like that fit.
Yeah. I would also say the Royals could get a little bit nutty and put Jonathan India at second base. Jonathan India. They did put Jonathan India at second base. That was nutty. It didn't work out. They could put Michael Garcia, it would be awkward to move a Gold Glover over to second base and then fill in third base with someone else. But Garcia came up as a shortstop. Now he's a third baseman. I would imagine he can probably also play second too. So I think there's some versatility where you can move guys around. But those are some names.
Do you remember? I have one name, but do you remember how much money they tried giving? What's his face? Santander last year.
I think they offered him I want to say it was like $22 million a year, but he had already agreed with the Blue Jays when they made that offer. I think that brings up a point. There are also free agents out there.
Yes,
the Royals have some people on the internet have suggested names such as Bichette and Bellinger and the top tier guys.
Yep.
I'm going to say right here, right now, I don't think that's impossible. I think that is impossible adjacent.
Can I wish cast for you?
Huh?
Can I wish cast for you? Because the more I think of him, this does not help your defense at all. In fact, you're going to tell him not to bring the glove. But if you just want the biggest bat, Kyle Schwarber will probably be available for $25 million. And I think that would be the biggest single impact they can get if you just want one dude.
Yeah.
In a pitcher-friendly stadium?
He hit 50 home runs. He's done it pretty well. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is it will be interesting to see some of the guys who also Glaber has been mentioned.
I was thinking about as well as a suggest Torres.
That wouldn't excite me too much, but that's also an option. And the other thing is there's also guys like Ha Seong Kim or guys like, Jesse Winker or Cedric Mullins, sort of mid-tier guys where they could come and have, kind of a reclamation type season. But I don't want the Royals to be betting on someone who, we think he could, I want someone who's going to be a plug and play type of guy.
So I was going to suggest, but not what you're looking for. You don't want to continue his tour of the AL Central, Willie Castro.
No, I think I'm good on that.
Yeah. He's a good defensive utility guy, but you need a better bat than what he hit for 226 in 2025.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, Luis Ariz is also a free agent second baseman. The excitement about Luis Ariz has kind of died down over the last 2 years, but I think he's another potential name. Who knows? There's a lot of guys out there, and I think the Royals just need to make the best acquisition they possibly can. And it's also reported that the Cubs want Chris Bubich, so there's another potential trading partner.
They're trying to trade Suzuki. Is that what I've heard?
I was going to say, if you could get Seiya Suzuki for Chris Bubich, that would be an interesting way to kind of piece that together.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting addition right there.
Or Ian Happ, either of those guys.
Ooh, Ian Happ could be a good one.
And I would also like someone who's a little bit on the. I would like someone who's on the short side of 30. But
well, yeah. So does everyone, though. So
yeah.
So do you think assuming they trade Bubich, is the player they would trade Bubich or a free agent going to have a bigger impact on this team next year? I like this policy.
I would say probably a trade candidate is usually a better bet. And also, I won't give 100% chance that the Royals are trading Chris Bubich. I'll give that a 75% chance because the Royals also have Ryan Bergert, Stephen Kolek, Daniel Lynch could be a trade candidate. Eric Sarantola, of course, a lot of potential there. But I think the Royals, again, they've got some options. They've got some guys who they can deal. And these are some very Trump gestures I'm doing right now. I need to stop that. They've also got Blake Mitchell down in the minors, who is, I think, like in the 70s ranked for prospect rankings. He's a catcher. The Royals have 2 catchers who I think are going to be pretty good for them next season. And I would hate to see them trade Carter Jensen in the offseason. That would make me really sad if the Royals did that.
Is he another Missouri own?
He's Kansas City native, Carter Jensen. Went to Park Hill High School. But he is he's good. He's a good guy for next season to see what he can do after he got a little cup of coffee.
May I make one more potential trade idea?
Go for it.
How would you feel about a Gold Glove winning left fielder who will probably hit 325 in Kansas City's outfield space for Carter Jensen?
I would feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. Well, it probably doesn't happen because of the division. But if we could get a catcher, the Guardians could get a catcher that could be plug and play and supplant.
No, we need to get Stephen Kwan out of the division.
Yeah.
Out of here. Go play for the National League.
Well, and I also think
far away from me.
I also think teams are a lot more willing to trade in division than they were 10,
Agreed.
15, 20 years ago. I will also say that Brendan Donovan has also been linked to the Guardians as the 2 teams who are trying to get him. I think that would who knows? But I would be interested. Again, something, not nothing in the outfield, and it's so the Royals need one second baseman, 1.5 outfielders.
I think I've said it before, but like the Royals, I think the Royals for just signing for $30 million can have the biggest impact on their roster for what they're trying to replace. Like it was dire in the corners. Like Jack Caglione is like he has his spot. He's new, but like left field and you're saying first base. I would argue a DH with a Carl Schwarber type. Seems like you're not a big fan of that, and I get it. Kyle Schwarber will probably not age gracefully. I think he's 32. He's been in the majors 10 years. There's a lot of wear on those tires, and he should not have a glove anymore. But they just need offense. They had the pitching last year. If they can get it next year, I really like them with like two big bats. So just go get the biggest bat you can.
The Royals are going to have some combination of Salvi, Jensen, and Vinny at DH. Right. Because I think we're going to see a lot more. I think Salvador Perez is going to be the Royals DH for at least 82 games this season. Mm-hmm. And then so like that's why I say that we don't need a DH, because I think we're going to see a lot more of Jensen behind the plate and Salvi in the DH spot. So
if you could pick, and again, I'm not trying to just because like I keep stumping for him, and also like the likelihood of him going to the Royal, I get it. It's a long shot at best. Glaber and Schwarber are ready to sign the identical contracts. Who, Sam, are you giving that contract to?
I would probably go with Schwarber on that one. I don't know how much Glaber just doesn't, for me personally, he doesn't do it for me. So I think I would go for Schwarber on that one. And hey, here's the deal: if the Royals do go out and they get Bichette or they get Bellinger or they get one of these big name guys, they go out and sell the farm to get Munateka, I will be, I will be shocked beyond belief or not shocked. I will be very surprised pleasantly with John Sherman and his commitment to selling the farm to get a big name on this team.
You'll be a happy boy.
So who knows? I don't think it's impossible. I think it's unlikely, but I also think the Royals are not a bad destination for one of these free agents.
I don't think so.
Because it is a town that I think really has it's a city that has a real appetite for good baseball, and it is a city that's very much in the spotlight in the last 10 years, and you are potentially getting to hit between Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino.
Sure.
Which I think most players would sign up for that.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible that they get a big name, but I think it is more likely that just two guys who can go out there and have a 105 OPS plus, put up 2.5 WAR, and be just a solid major leaguers. That's what I'm looking for.
How much does it matter to you that one of the individuals that gets brought in is capable of hitting leadoff, hitting in front of Witt? Because I know that's been something the team's been searching for at least 2 years now. That's part of why India was brought in.
And that was part of the reason why India was brought in. The problem with that is we were too committed to making the India leadoff thing work last season, and we left him in that spot for way too long. Michael Garcia should have been the leadoff hitter once he was emerging in the way he was. They just didn't do that. So I would imagine we're going to see Michael Garcia at the top of the lineup next season, followed by Bobby Witt Jr., and then we'll go from there. But, hey, Jonathan India, last pitch of Clase's career was against Jonathan India. It was a 3-run walk-off home run. So there you go. He's got that
Not
little
including the postseason, but yeah.
No, it was the last pitch of Clase's career was against Jonathan India
That's fun.
in 2025.
Because he wasn't in the playoffs because he'd already been put on leave, right?
Yeah.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't put that
You're
together.
good. You're good. I was doing the math too.
Yeah, it was like the day or the 2 days
Yes.
before Clase got put on leave.
That's after he had drilled India in the head earlier in the season for opening weekend.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was the last pitch of Clase's career, right there. So anyway, not to rub it in or anything.
No, that's fine. He deserves it, honestly. Allegedly deserves it.
Mm-hmm. I bet he deserves it.
Well, when your defense is, no, I wasn't gambling. I was just fighting roosters. You know.
Yes,
Great.
when your defense to a crime is I was actually committing another crime. That's when you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 60. So
it is true. I looked that up. But yeah. Anyway, any other thoughts on the Royals?
Yes.
No,
So
I think that about does it for me. Unless Lee wants to chime in.
I got something. I think the Royals have the clearest path to making big improvements next year. It's get more offense.
Yes.
I looked on Baseball Reference, assuming I counted these correctly. The Royals have 34 games in which they lost by 1 or 2 runs.
Mm-hmm.
If you can flip half of those,
10
of those, I mean, that's going to make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting a little extra bit of offense is just what they need.
And they're in positions that you can find offense easily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, second base, fine, but like corner outfield, they're loaded.
Yeah.
Go get one.
And here's the other thing is that the Royals, for at least 2024, the Royals are ahead of schedule as far as being a competitive team. They made the playoffs in 2024. They had a winning record in 2025. So this is the time where the Royals were supposed to be competitive. They are competitive. So let us gird our loins, fill our horn with oil, and go to the postseason.
I don't like how any of that sounded.
Yeah.